Today we have ourselves a septic system that's underneath of a deck, and I want to talk to you a little bit about why is that a problem and what can possibly go wrong. So let's go take a look at this system and we'll talk about it. As you can tell, I'm sitting underneath of a deck. Fortunately, it's high up enough to where I don't have to worry about, clearance to get to the system, to pump it, to maintain it. But we do have a problem of if we ever have to do a repair, guess what's getting destroyed? The deck. As we look at the tank, we're going to see a clean out in the front and a manhole riser in the middle. The back of the tank is over here where those little rocks are. We can see we have our deck steps right over top, or where the sewer line would go. We have our pylons right here, right next to the tank. The edge of the tank is going to be really close to that one. And then as we go, we've got some wood and more decking. On a modern installation or a modern house, there's zero chance that you're allowed to do this. With the age of this home, it's 1979. There is a potential that this deck has been here for quite a while. Now, looking at the wood, we're not going to really see as much that we would expect to see for something that old. If we look, we see our mildew, but the wood itself looks pretty good, right? We're not seeing anything super crazy. And this style of wood, I usually see this in like the 90s. So I'm not a deck guy, I'm a septic guy. I'm gonna stay in my lane and I'm gonna stay out of the deck guys' lanes. But you can kind of guess what you're working with just by how degraded does the wood look. Obviously, we're in the woods, right? We see all the trees behind me. It's gonna be wet, not a whole lot of sun, and you do run the risk of mildew and mold. Over time, that wood will eventually kind of turn to mush. So, more than likely, what happened was the septic system was installed with the house, right? Makes sense. You have to have plumbing for your house. And somebody went ahead and slapped in a deck over top of it sometime after the home was built. This happens a lot. Now, the nice thing is whoever built the deck at least, thought about the access to the septic system, and they gave you enough clearance to where you got about 4 foot. You got to squatch down a little bit, but you can still get underneath of the deck and get to the tank. The really good thing is that manhole access. Now, with this deck being in place, as we've discussed previously, pumping the back of the tank through the cleanout is really tedious. Digging the hole on the middle of the tank while crouched down, also really tedious. So having this lid in the middle makes it to where the guy can just come in and pop this off, stick the hose in, suck the debris out. Manholes should be on every septic system, regardless of a deck being on top of it, because it does make it where you can get a better clean on your system. We've discussed previously with septic systems, pumping the tank is the thing you have to do to get the longevity out of the system. What'll happen is, over time, a little bit of debris will build up and work its way out into the absorption system. That little bit of debris, generally for a family of 4, is about 4 inches, right? Over time, that little bit gets over here, causes problem. We refer to that as biomat. Real sticky. It's poo. Biologic material. As it gets into the dry well, it's going to make, or drain field, whichever one you have, it's going to make it to where the water's not able to escape the system as it ought to and go into the surrounding soil. So what will happen is the water will eventually back up and go back towards the house or the tank. Water goes where the path of least resistance is, so if it's easier for it to go back to the home, guess what it's doing? It's going in your basement. Most commonly, when you have a house like this where we've got a pretty good slope, it's probably just going to back up and roll downhill. That's where the old adage of stuff goes downhill comes from, right? So we have our manhole riser. That's good. That's what we want to see for this system. That means we don't have to worry about digging in a very uncomfortable spot. I would be willing to bet just about every pumper's not digging this when it's underneath of a deck. Some counties, you get unlucky and they give you a foot, maybe 1.5 feet worth of clearance. You're not digging at all, and you're gonna have a really, really hard time pumping the tank. It's just not a good idea. The next thing, we gotta talk about repairs, right? Things are gonna go bad. On a 1979 system, we expect to see cast iron piping, right? It's a very common type of pipe material, but the most other common issue we're gonna see is baffle degradation. So either the front or back baffle missing. The baffle in the front is just there as a shield to slow everything down, so when you flush a toilet or on a sink bathtub, you're not mixing up all the water inside of the tank, causing the solids to fall out and come back into suspension and over into your drain field. The outlet baffle prevents all the scum, the floating stuff, from getting into the pipe, causing a clog, or again, issues with the absorption system. Over time, those things are going to go wrong. and you're going to eventually have to fix them. They're usually fairly inexpensive. The sewer line, different story, but again, fairly inexpensive compared to a full system. When you put a deck over top of it, the only way that you're fixing your sewer line is with a machine. And I guess you could pay somebody to do it by hand, but I don't know anybody who's going to do that. So if you have to get a machine underneath of a deck, you're gonna pretty much have to remove the deck. So over time, it's gonna become a big problem. The next issue you're gonna run into is the deck itself. The moment you go to replace this deck and pull a permit, the county's gonna come back and tell you no. You're not gonna be able to do that. It's kind of one of those things where if it's already there, the county kind of looks the other way. But the moment you pull a permit to replace it, no, game over. The back baffle is going to be right here. So this one would be pretty easy to fix in this particular situation. But the sewer line leaving the tank, going to the absorption system, is going to run right underneath of the steps. As we walk our way down, we're going to find the dry well. The dry well is going to be right here. This is going to be a large pit in a big circle, and that's going to be what disperses the liquid into the ground. So the tank is your clarification chamber. So you flush your toilet, sink, bathtub, whatever, all that water plus the solids goes to the tank, the heavy stuff falls out of suspension, and the liquid will progress on to the absorption system. In this case, it's a dry well. So big pit, usually it's going to be dry stack cinder block, 8 foot, 6 foot diameter, give or take, 5 to 10 feet deep, give or take. We don't have records on this one, so we're not sure exactly how deep it is yet until we measure it. But on the outside of that cinder block, they're going to put stone. So the idea behind this is when you dry stack that cinder block and you leave stone on the outside, the water is able to exit the pit, the stone opens up the soil, and the water is able to work its way into the soil and be absorbed. The soil is your filtering media. So what will happen is as that wastewater goes in, the water will then filter through the soil, clean itself up, and then back off into the rest of the world. The biomat is what's going to eventually cause this to fail. So what will happen is it'll eventually start to fill up with water, as we just discussed, and go back to the house. But again, we're talking about the deck. So the same issue that we have with the pipe leaving the house to the tank is the same issue we're going to run into with the pipe leaving the tank to the dry well. Over time, we're going to have to rip this up in order to replace the pipe. They're more than likely to avoid having to do that. We would probably just reroute the pipe around the deck. But going towards the house, that's not going to happen. All of this is to be said before you install a deck, pool, shed, whatever structure. Make sure you get somebody to scope out where your sewer line is, scope out where your septic system is, so that way you don't build on top of it. Let me know below, when was the last time you had your septic checked? I always find it fun to see how often people are doing this stuff. So, anywho, I have videos posted every day on the World of Well and Septic. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe. Till next time, guys.